Wars are often measured in missiles fired, cities destroyed, and military casualties. But the US-Iran conflict has revived another battlefield, the sea. Since the US-Iran war erupted on February 28, 2026, commercial shipping routes across the Gulf have transformed into active conflict zones. Merchant vessels carrying oil, fuel, and cargo have repeatedly come under missile, drone, and naval attacks. And caught in the middle of it all are Indian seafarers. They were not combatants. They carried no weapons. Yet they become some of the conflict's most tragic victims. 9 Indian seafarers have lost their lives in attacks across the Gulf. Tonight, we tell their story. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Deepdive with me, Asavri Jindal. The very first Indian casualty came just one day after the war began. On March 1st, the product tanker MT MKD Vyom was sailing off the coast of Oman. Without warning, an unmanned drone boat slammed into the vessel. The impact tore a breach above the waterline, and within seconds, the engine room exploded into flames. Among those inside was 33-year-old Dikshit Amritlal Solanki, an engineer room oiler from Mumbai's Kandivali West. The son of a former seaman, Dikshit had followed his father's footsteps into the merchant navy. He never made it home. The exploding projectile ripped through the engine room, killing him instantly, and his head became the first Indian casualty in the Gulf maritime conflict. But that wasn't all. Hours later, another vessel, another attack, and more Indian lives lost. The Palau-flagged oil tanker MT Skylight came under heavy fire near Oman's Masunadam Peninsula. The tanker found itself trapped in an intense military crossfire near the entrance to the Strait of Hormuz, suffering extensive damage. 2 Indians were killed in the attack, Captain Ashish Kumar from Bihar and Dilip Singh from Rajasthan. Both were in the forward section of the vessel when the attack struck, and within a single day, India had lost 3 merchant sailors. The attacks didn't stop there. Instead, they became more frequent, more unpredictable, and increasingly deadly. On May 8th, a traditional wooden cargo dward operating near the Strait of Hormuz became another casualty of the war. The commercial vessel caught fire amid ongoing regional hostilities. Within minutes, it capsized with 18 Indian nationals on board. 1 Indian deckhand succumbed to his injuries before rescue teams could even reach him. His identity has still not been officially released. For his family, there was no military funeral, no public honor, just another life lost at sea. Then came the single deadliest attack on Indian seafarers since the conflict began. On June 9th, the Palau-flagged tanker MT Setulubelo was sailing through the Gulf of Oman carrying commercial cargo when it became the target of a US military strike. Washington claimed the vessel had violated a strict wartime maritime blockade. Moments later, a targeted missile slammed into the tanker, ripping through its hull and targeting catastrophic damage on board. The attack claimed the lives of 3 Indian seafarers: Chief Engineer Patnala Suresh from Andhra Pradesh, fitter Shiv Anand Chaurasya and from Diora in Uttar Pradesh, and Cadet Aditi Sharma from Himachal Pradesh. All 3 were part of a 24-member Indian crew serving aboard the vessel. The missiles struck the section of the ship where they were stationed, leaving them with no chance to escape. Even after global calls for restraint, commercial vessels continued to be caught in the conflict. On July 12th, the Cyprus-flagged container ship GFS Galaxy was heading towards the Strait of Hormuz when an Iranian projectile struck the vessel. A massive explosion engulfed the engine room. 30-year-old Hirambh Karmakar, a Marine third engine from Pune, was trapped inside. Rescue teams searched for nearly 60 hours before recovering his body as another Indian life was lost beneath burning steel. Another devastating attack occurred just 2 days later on July 14th. The Emirati flagged oil tanker MT Al Bahila and MT Mombasa came under direct missile attack in the southern passage of the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian naval forces fired cruise missiles into the tankers. The explosion ripped through crew accommodation areas. Rohan Kumar, a 31-year-old merchant navy marine engineer from Bihar's Gopalganj district, was killed instantly when a missile struck his quarters aboard MT Al Bahila. He was the youngest of the three brothers. 6 other Indian sailors suffered injuries in the same attack. Another family shattered. Another name added to an ever-growing list. These incidents are not isolated. Together they paint a grim picture. The US-Iran war may be fought with missiles, drones and warships, but some of its most tragic victims wear neither camouflage nor carry weapons. From the engine rooms of burning tankers to the waters of the Strait of Hormuz, these Indian seafarers were never meant to be on the front lines of a war, yet they became its casualties. Their stories are a reminder that in modern conflicts, the battlefield no longer ends where the armies stand. It stretches across oceans, onto commercial ships, and into the lives of ordinary families waiting for their loved ones to return home. For India, protecting sea lanes is no longer just about securing energy supplies or safeguarding trade. It's about protecting Indian lives. And as the conflict continues, as the conflict in the Gulf shows no signs of ending, as it continues, the question is no longer whether merchant ships are part of the war. The question is, how many more innocent seafarers will become its invisible victims? Joining us to take this conversation forward is Captain Shyam Kumar, a former Indian Navy officer. Sir, appreciate you taking out time speaking to us on NewsX on a very important story that we're tracking, and it's more about the lives that have been lost with no fault of theirs. I want to understand from you, and like I said, the way I ended, what do you make of it? How many more innocent lives have to be lost until there is a realization that these people have absolutely nothing to do with the war?
Thank you, Asavri. Jai Hind, son of Varuna. We must understand, and your viewers must also realize it, that Strait of Hormuz and Oman, in fact, Northern Arabian Sea, has become water of contest. And since these are contested waters, any merchant movement in these areas are risky, and they have to be prepared for any kind of eventualities. Historically, we know all wars at sea, wherever there have been contest, where there have been belligerent countries, merchant shipping has been affected and people have been killed. These are collateral damages and they have to be accepted. We cannot forget 1988, Robert Samuel, which was going through mine water while escorting a Kuwaiti tanker. It hit missile, it hit a mine, and 26 sailors were severely damaged. And later on, Operation Praying Mantis was launched by America on 18th April 1988, and entire fleet of Iran was actually exhausted. Iranian aircraft 655, which was going from Tehran to Bandar Abbas and then to Abu Dhabi, was wrongly identified by American destroyer, and a missile from the ship fired at it actually made 350 plus lives gone in 1 second. These were collateral damages. Now we are coming to the Indian sailors, seafarers who are being affected. Yes, we are very, very hurt by these happenings. Sympathy to those bereaved families, whether it is Bihar, Arunachal Pradesh, whether it is Himachal Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, we have been losing our seafarers. Our foreign minister had appealed to the citizens in Iran from 15th of January, and he gave a statement in parliament to please leave Iran. That means geography of Iran. Similarly, if the same thing, I'm just trying to be a little more pragmatic about it. I will also say how to probably cater for it. But then we have to understand the realities that if the Iran itself is a contested area, the water around it also is contested. It is known that there is a war. So obviously the merchant mercantile, the companies which are actually operating these ships, crew of any country, because they can have any flag. These are called flag of convenience. So our sailors could be on any ship of any registered country, and it would be very difficult to know them. So they also, this means that our sailors and our merchant mercantile, our business people, they also have to exercise caution while entering these areas. Now, what's happening? Yes, the charge d'affaires of United States of America embassy in India was called. We made protest on it. Our Prime Minister, when he met Mr. Trump, he protested on it. We actually made our voice about it, and we are trying to do certain measures now. Operation Sankalp is on for long. Operation Urja Suraksha is also on from Indian naval side. 4-5 Indian naval ships are always in Oman area, and they're trying to give navigational support, safety, security to escort our ships which are bringing oil, gas from these areas. But it is also important to understand that tracing every ship of other country registration where our sailors and officers are born is a huge task. Yes, now the shipping ministry has taken charge of it. Mr. Sonowal has chaired a meeting recently, and DG Shipping, Indian Navy, Petroleum Ministry, Ministry of External Affairs, there have been clear directions to trace out every officer and sailor who are born on these ships, and they are sailing through these contested waters, so that in case of the requirement of coordination with American Navy, remember your viewers must understand there is a blockade there. Now, blockade is a legal phenomena. It is Aswamed Yag of Hindu mythology, in which there is might of the country. He will not let anyone come inside. And there could be misidentification, there could be misfire, there could be wrong confusion. This can happen in contested waters. And in that regard, I'm not saying that America is right, Iran is right. IRGC fired on many merchant ships inside Hormuz, outside Hormuz, next to Oman, 4 kilometers, 30 kilometers in clear area in Arabian Sea. There also there have been incidents. There was a drone fired on Gujarat coast on Indian Indian merchant ship, 20 kilometers off Gujarat in the during the Houthis problems in Red Sea, Bab al-Mandeb areas. We know that. We were trying to find out who came all the way, which drone was this, which came all the way to Gujarat coast. It was spreading the war into the southern Arabian Sea. So there is the sea war. The engagement is a different phenomena. Actually, I also tell you, your viewers would be happy to know that from the 7th and 8th of March, I started talking about these aspects of Hormuz, visible aims of coming to Hormuz tomorrow by America, and all these Iranian attacks and all will finally stop, and the entire focus will be on the Hormuz. There will be a blockade, and there will be many more ships coming from different countries who will try to actually tell Iran to open the Hormuz. And that's what is exactly happening. Indian government is taking care of all these aspects. We are serious about it. And Indian Navy is trying to patrol in that area, and definitely will warn and coordinate the movement of the ships where our sailors are born. It's a huge task, but presently in Oman and Strait of Hormuz, any merchant ship which is going inside will be actually mapped, traced, and probably some coordination, safety, and security will be instilled into the seafarers so that they are safe. And at the same time, the coordination with American Navy, Iranian Navy, and other Gulf countries' Navy would also be important. So we have done some exercises. We are the leader in training and leadership in that area, CTG 154, that task group, which is coordinating movement with about 20 countries in that area. It's happening from 2019, not today. The results will show now that we are into the command. We are able to take charge of the other countries' coordination and training and leadership that we have shown to them. And we will be able to probably achieve the best
Okay,
aim.
sir. All right. Absolutely. I'm so sorry. I'm a little short on time, but we really appreciate you joining us and sharing your perspectives with us on this very important story that we've been tracking. On that note, we step into a very short break.